Good evening, everyone. Not sure who is hosting, but I did want to let just a reminder that we should have Mr. Blake Lostall from Colonial Club here this evening. So I just wanted to make sure that whoever's hosting knows his name in case he needs to speak tonight. Thank you.
We're live.
Mayor, I believe we are ready as well.
Thank you. I'm waiting for the note that recording is in progress. I suppose it's not coming this time.
Is that for me? We're live on UGTV and YouTube.
Okay. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to announce that due to COVID-19, commissioner staff are attending remotely. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak, so the public that is observing knows who is speaking. This is critical given the number of remote participants and his current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. And due to COVID-19 requirements, the public is allowed to participate by Zoom or submit comments by email prior to the meeting. Those comments are included in the record of the meeting. The public also has an opportunity to provide brief comments in the lobby of the municipal office building. I'd ask the clerk to please call the meeting to order and call roll.
Good evening. Roll call. Ramirez.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Kane.
Here.
Markley.
Here.
Walters.
Here.
Philbrook.
Here.
Bynum.
Here.
Burrough.
Here.
Townsend.
Here.
McKiernan.
Here.
Albee.
Here. Thank you. Our invocation is being given by Commissioner Harold Johnson of Faith Deliverance Church of God in Christ, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. O God, our God, how excellent is your name in all the earth. We honor you this evening and invoke your presence, your wisdom, and your direction. Lord God, you've brought this community a mighty, mighty long way. We're growing again. Our economy is beginning to improve. Our overall health is slowly improving. And yet we still have much improvement that needs to be accomplished. I pray tonight for our mayor and for each member of this commission that you would grant us the collective wisdom and courage to lead this community. I pray for the well-being of every Wyandotte County, that you would bless and keep us all. Let all that we do tonight be for your glory, I pray. In the majestic name of Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the
the
republic
republic
for which it
that
stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
nation
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
with
justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Dykler, any revisions to tonight's agenda?
Mayor, there were no revisions tonight, sir.
All right, thank you. So there are two items under the mayor's agenda. Item number one, a resolution extending the state of local health emergency for the COVID-19 pandemic through December 16th. I'd ask staff to make some comments.
Mayor, Doug Bach, County Administrator. I will recognize Jeff Conway in our legal department, who has prepared the document for this evening regarding our emergency health order. Jeff?
Mayor and commissioners, thank you, Mr. Bach. This is Jeff Conway, legal, and it's very simple. It's kind of a recitation of the previous extensions. This extension would go through December 16th. December 16th is the next commission. I mean, not the next, but it is a commission meeting on that date. So it would go through that just in case we needed that date to do another extension. And that's pretty much it. I think Matt May, the emergency management director was planning on being on this call. If he's not, we have talked about the need for this, the federal emergency areas. Okay, I won't steal his thunder.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, this is the exact same reasons we've had in the past. It maintains our ability to get reimbursement from federal programs like the Public Assistance Program. And we want to continue to do that. Most of the state has maintained their status and being in an emergency. Most of the counties have done it, not all of them, but the vast majority of them have. And I believe most of them plan to continue to do that as well.
Thank you. Any members of the commission have any questions or comments?
Markley, move to approve.
Thank you. We have a motion.
Second.
A second, Commissioner Bynum.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Roll call, Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
Walters. Commissioner Walters, I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Thank you. Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a resolution amending the local health order 80521. Again, staff, some comments, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Doug Bach, County Administrator. So the item before you this evening is regarding the mask order. It continues what we had put in place previously. I will recognize James Bain in our legal department, who has worked with our health department in drafting and moving forward the document this evening.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening, Commissioners. James Bain, Unified Government Legal Department. The resolution you have in front of you extends the current mask mandate and all of the amendments you made on August 5th regarding exempting schools, exempting the cities of Bonner Springs and Edwardsville. The current order expires next Thursday, September 16th. The resolution you have in front of you has an expiration date of November 18th. You heard earlier tonight from Dr. Corvo that the health department is recommending a November 11th expiration of the extension. And so you certainly have the power to amend what is in front of you and adopt that, or adopt this as it's written with the November 18th expiration, or make any other modifications you choose. And so everything stays the same from that August 5th order, except for the expiration date.
And Mayor, I will add that November 18th is in place because that is aligned with your commission meeting dates. So if you were looking to do anything or extend from that point, it would be aligned, or not take action and let it lapse at that point.
Again, the order that was passed previously it's in the same form, same requirements, same exemptions. It's just the only amendment is that it extends it to November 18th. Correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. All right. I will now open the public hearing for comments. Is there anyone present who would like to speak to this item?
Mayor, we are seeing none in the lobby. And let me check there is a Carla Cairns with her hand raised in the attendees. If we could promote them, Terry.
Yeah, so if there's anyone present on Zoom who would like to speak on this item, just raise your hand to be recognized. Once you've been acknowledged, we ask that you state your name and city of residency for the record, and you will be given up to 1 minute to state your comments.
Mayor, Ms. Cairns has been promoted.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm Carla Kearns, and this is Russell Dorn. We live in Jackson County, but Russell goes to school in Wyandotte County, and he wanted to tell you something about the mask mandate. Go ahead, bud.
My grandpa died of COVID.
And what do you think the commission should do?
I think we should keep doing masks until kids can have vaccines.
Okay, did you have any other things to tell them?
That's about it.
Okay, can you say thank you?
Thank you.
Thank you, young man. Any other comments?
Mayor Albee, the clerk's office did receive one short email in favor, if you'd like me to read that for the record.
Please do.
From a Mr. Jason Wins. He says, I support the resolution on the agenda to be considered at the full commission meeting on September 9th to amend the LHO until 11:59 p.m. on November 18, 2021. Wyandotte County's vaccination rate remains below the national average in vaccination in the United States. The Delta surge has demonstrated the risk of communities with lower rates of vaccination. Universal masking is an effective way to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Extending the mask mandate through mid-November gives extra time for residents to be vaccinated, thus protecting them and the community. That is all.
All right, thank you. Seeing that there are no other comments from the public, thank you. Thank you, young Mr. Kimes. And I will now close the public hearing and entertain a motion. Any comments or questions from the commission first?
Mayor, Commissioner Townsend, District 1, wanted to thank the family that just spoke. Sorry for their loss, and move to approve the resolution as submitted.
Commissioner
Philbrook, second.
I think we have a motion by Commissioner Townsend, a second by Commissioner Philbrook. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. We now move to our consent agenda. Does any member of the commission or county administrator wish to set aside any item on the consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the consent agenda will be voted on by one vote. Commissioner Burrows?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm talking about item number 6, the weekly business materials dealing with the minutes. I noticed that at the beginning it said I had dropped off. That was the evening I was having computer problems, was getting disconnected throughout the evening, and it's reflected in the minutes where you continue to see drop off during discussion. I was just would like some kind of advice as to being recognized as being in attendance.
Yes, so we need to pull that from the consent agenda or just make a correction to the minutes. Misty?
Thank you, Mayor. Misty Brown. Mayor, we'll need to pull it from the consent agenda, vote on the consent agenda, and then take that matter up and make a quick correction to the minutes.
Okay. Other than that, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve Justice Harold Johnson as submitted.
Bynum, second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Markley. Commissioner Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
All right, so that takes us to the set aside item, which is item number 6. So again, Commissioner Burrows asked that the minutes be amended to reflect, and in fact, he was present for the meeting. Any comments or questions?
Motion to approve Johnson.
Thank you.
Commissioner
McKiernan,
Townsend, second.
Very good. Very good. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Next is a public hearing to consider the advisability of creating the Legends Hotel Community Improvement District. I'd ask Catherine Carter, Director of Economic Development, to make some opening remarks.
Mr. Mayor, this is Patrick Waters in the legal department. I will take this item in Catherine's place. So on July 23rd, Legends Hotel LLC submitted a valid CID petition to the clerk's office. Under state law, when a valid petition is submitted, we are required to hold a public hearing on that item. You'll notice this is a little bit different than most CID petitions that you see because there's no development agreement attached to it. The reason for that is that currently staff and administration are not in support of the petition. The reason is it's been the unified government's policy to not approve standalone CIDs for limited service hotels that are out by the Legends. The development team believes that there are reasons why we should make an exception, and they are here tonight to speak to that. We would just ask if the commission, if this is something that the commission wants to pursue, that we be given time to work with the developer to formulate a complete development agreement, because we don't have that at this time. But I will let the development team, I think Ruben is here, and he can speak to the proposed hotel and what they are requesting.
Thank you, Patrick, and the commissioners. Appreciate your time today. Just want to make sure before we start off, hopefully you guys were able to see the PowerPoint presentation that was provided to give you an idea of what we're looking to develop the hotel. It's a Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. It is a limited service hotel with a conference room component. And so one of the key drivers for us to develop this hotel is also that it will allow for additional conference space. Currently, there's no hotel, including within the limited service space, that has such a large capacity. So this will definitely drive additional meeting space within the area, which will be much needed, especially once the home field development comes on as well. So to give you an idea, the presentation is a prototype of what our hotel is going to look like. Of course, it has not been developed yet. So this is it should be substantially similar to this. And the second page of the slide as well should show the location, the layout of it, where we are. We're right in between Freddy's and next to the soccer training facility and Children's Hospital, or the Children's Mercy. And so one of the key things that we're also doing in order to attract more players and make it more convenient for people who will be visiting the medical center is to have a pathway for them to walk from that area to our hotel, because on the east side of 435, there's very limited development at this time, and we would like to encourage that development, and hotels have been a key driver in allowing development, bringing in other economic investment as well as employment and increased tax revenues to the government.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Burnett, could you explain the reasons why the CID is necessary for you to finance this project?
Good question. So one of the key considerations that we've looked at is, as we all know, COVID has really had an adverse impact on the economy in general, but including the hospitality and the development. To give you an idea of where we are at in terms of cost, the cost to build a hotel, construct the box of a hotel, has gone up 40% at least. And so these are the bids that we're seeing right now compared to comparable hotels that have been developed within the area. So we're looking at a 40% increase in cost to construct a building, right? And so that's going to have an adverse impact on the increase in cost will affect the property taxes, which are high property taxes within Wyandotte County to begin with. So to give you an idea, a comparable property, a limited service property in the area, would be paying $100,000 less than we would in property taxes, just because of the cost of construction and development of this property. So $100,000 more annually in property taxes we will be paying going forward. So that really affects the consideration of whether or not this project is viable, because the cost is really going to impact the bottom line. And if you look at it based upon our analysis, we're better off investing our money in a savings account, and that's how. And that's not saying much in terms of what kind of return we would be getting in terms of developing this property at the current cost. And one point to consider, which David or everyone or someone else on this call may consider is, costs have come down a bit, but we're looking at a pipeline where costs are not going to come down significantly enough and attract investment within the east side of the area near home field for at least a few years. So let's say give it 1 year for the cost to come down. Another hotel, for example, decides to come in and develop in that area. It'll be at least 3 years before another hotel is even probably going to consider even developing that area due to the high cost and the high property taxes in the area.
So, Mr. Waters, if you would, if the development agreement has not been put together, is it possible that there would be some, whether TIF or IRB on the property taxes that might fold into that would come into play? And if the property tax is the issue, would those kinds of arrangements change that equation?
If we received direction from the commission that was something that you wanted us to explore, we would of course go back and have those discussions. But it's not a discussion that we've had as of yet.
Right. So,
we're looking forward to, we'd love to move forward with this project as soon as we can. If it makes sense to explore other alternatives, we're definitely open to that. CID seemed the most reasonable and feasible for us to get approved on. And so it just makes it the project more viable in terms of investment and growth.
Commissioner Bynum?
Thank you, Mayor. Melissa Bynum, At-Large District 1. A couple of clarification questions. The one for legal, I guess both are for legal. Is the term of a CID a 20-year item?
22, yes.
22. On page 256 of our agenda, under the proposed amount of sales tax, it says petitioner proposes the CID project be financed through levying of an add-on sales tax in the amount of 1%, but then in parentheses, it says 1.25%. So I just wanted clarification on what the sales tax amount percentage is.
That's a good, Ruben, can I defer to you on what your current proposal?
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Yeah, the proposal and the petition that was submitted had a sales tax of 1.5%. So the one that was attached to the link, that was not a notarized or submitted. That was the draft earlier in the process that was submitted. So the actual proposal is for 1.5% due to the increased cost.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Ramirez?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Christian Ramirez, District 3. Patrick, and these are clarifying questions. Have we ever approved a CID application or petition before having a development agreement?
No, Commissioner, and I would not recommend it because there are just various provisions such as what the ultimate CID cap would be and various conditions attached to receiving that money and conditions that the developer would have to accomplish that we would want to have in a development agreement. So our request would be either if you do not approve, I think the developer would probably like some certainty and knowing that either it's not going to happen, knowing that tonight, or requesting that we go back and work with the developer and we can come back at a later commission date and we could work on a development agreement.
Okay. I wouldn't support us going this route. I think we need to take the proper route. He goes through planning department, legal department, our county administrator's office, our economic development office, going through the steps to create the development agreement, go through all the different alternatives that he has, and then come through our process. He first goes through the committee and then he comes to us. I think that's just the proper way of doing it. Well, that's the way we should be doing it.
Well, Commissioner, I will say he did go through the proper process. It's just we don't have a development agreement to propose to you tonight because staff has not been in favor of it. So we couldn't really bring something forward that we're in favor of. But he went through the proper process. It's just that it just wasn't something that, unless we received further direction from the commission, it wasn't something that we felt that we should spend time, the time and money to put together a development agreement.
Correct. The approach, the thought was, why unnecessarily expend the government's resources if until we know of the proper direction. So we have been working with Patrick and others in terms of the proper procedures in order to follow, and so we're hoping it is a favorable decision today to approve the CID, and then we're happy to begin working with the UG and Patrick on the development agreement and revisiting the agreement once it's in play, once it's in final form for your approval.
Okay, and thank you for that explanation, Patrick. That helps me. I would be in favor of holding this over for a certain time until a development agreement comes before us, so that we have more information of what's going to happen, what the project is, and all of those things that you had mentioned, Patrick, that are in the development agreement that comes along whenever someone applies for our economic development tools. So I would just say, I would ask that we hold this over until then. Thank you.
Commissioner Kane.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I don't know why we would even think about it if we don't have the plan in front of us. We have to have something solid so we can tell our constituents, hey, this is what we have. Because right now, you want me to vote on something that I don't have much to go on. I'm not buying in that, like Christian said. I would rather hold it over, and I don't care if they like it or not. But I'm not buying into something that somebody said, well, I'll do the best I can. That's kind of like buying a used car and not knowing how many miles it has on it. So I would definitely be opposed to working on this tonight. I think we should absolutely move it back until we have more information and we can make a solid decision.
Mr. Bach.
Thank you, Mayor. Doug Bach, County Administrator. I think the part, and I'm seeing all the questions come from the members of the commission that are not on the Economic Development Finance Standing Committee. This item did advance to them for consideration. I think maybe it might be good for members of the committee or the chair to speak to it, but it is not advancing to you with a recommendation from that committee. It is advancing to you because the state law requires that if a petition is filed, then you must conduct a public hearing to consider this. We took it forward to the standing committee to work the item as we normally would. Did not receive direction from that committee to put together a development agreement to work through this. Staff noted, and as Mr. Waters has noted, such CID is not consistent with the policy that has been given to me as a county administrator to work for limited service projects. That is the conversation. Mr. Bernat did go through the proper process. I had conversations with him. I informed him that would be our position from a staff perspective going forward, but we would advance it and give him his opportunity to have a public process to go through this. And now it sits in front of you today where we are required as a government to have a public hearing and allow for this, and then you to consider it based on that. But your standing committee or economic development did not forward that information or with that direction.
Commissioner McKiernan.
Thank you, Mayor. As a member of the Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee, I will reiterate what Mr. Bach just said, that we pass this forward as a statutory obligation to the full commission. Speaking for myself, based on what information I currently have about this project, I'm not in favor of establishing a CID, but I am willing to go through the process and consider any public input that may be gathered through this evening's meeting. Thank you.
Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to make sure I understand. We don't, based on what Doug Bach has shared with us about the project, we don't necessarily approve the CID tonight, but we could request that our team continue to work with the gentleman to bring forward other possible ways to help move the project along. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yes, Commissioner.
So the action that we take could be simply that we're requesting our economic development team to work with Mr. Renat to possibly bring back some other mechanism then.
Yes, Commissioner. I think probably the two options to give him some certainty would either be a motion to deny if the petition, if the commission says, no, we are just not interested in having a CID out here in any way, shape, or form. Just an up or down denial, or a motion to go back and work with staff and come back if it is something that the commission is potentially interested in.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Townsend, District 1, and speaking as a member also of the Economic Development Committee, Chairman of the committee, Commissioner McKiernan, had already expressed what I thought was the case too. As a matter of law, we had no choice or no other option but to have this move out of committee, not with a recommendation, but just procedurally. With regard to the options that Councilor Waters just mentioned, if there was a vote to just turn down the CID by us tonight, would that foreclose the opportunity for council to go back and work further with the proponent to develop an agreement?
Yes, for the time being, they would have to submit. They could always submit a new petition. There's nothing that prevents you from submitting multiple petitions, but for this specific one, it would be ended.
Okay, thank you. Well, based on that, I would move to have our council and staff go back and work with the proponent to see if they could come to a development agreement. And my understanding of this is not promoting the project, but just having staff go back and see if they could work to effect a development agreement. So that is my motion.
Johnson, second.
I'm sorry, we have a public hearing still. I want to be clear, Patrick, that if we vote not to approve the CID, they would have to have a time period where if they wanted to present another request for a CID, there would be a time lag, but there would not be a time lag in trying to develop a development agreement that might include other ways to finance this.
That's correct, Mayor.
All right. I just want to clarify that. Thank you. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one quick question for you, Patrick. So let's say the action tonight is for you and staff to go back with the developer, work with them, bring a development agreement to us. What happens to the petition if the final development agreement doesn't include a CID? What would happen with that petition?
I think it would just become moot.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't think we'd have to take any action.
Okay, thank you. That was the only question I had.
Commissioner McKiernan?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Waters, correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that the only thing we are procedurally obligated to do tonight is to hold the public hearing.
That's
There is
correct.
no need to take any action beyond holding the public hearing. If, after hearing the public hearing, any member of this commission believes that it would be good to move forward with the creation of a development agreement that might include a CID, then we should inform the county administrator, the economic development team, and yourself. You will then work on those documents and would bring those back at a later date for action by this body. Is that correct?
That's all correct. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Then the only action we have before us tonight is to hold the public hearing and then follow up with the administrator's office, economic development staff, and legal staff after the public hearing if we feel a development agreement should be created. Thank you.
Well, I guess Commissioner, I think we were hoping, probably developer was hoping for some direction from the commission tonight in terms of, because you could just outright, after the public hearing, you could deny the CID petition outright tonight. There's no requirement that we bring a development agreement to you.
All right.
You could just
Thank
say,
you very much.
Correct. That's it. Exactly it, Mr. Waters. We're looking for some direction in terms of whether or not the CID could possibly be approved, and for us to move forward as next steps in terms of putting the development agreement in play, drafting that in place, not finalizing, but drafting it with the thought that it would be voted on or considered in the future.
Commissioner Townsend?
Well, based on what Chairman McKiernan said, I was about to withdraw my motion. And then based on what Councilor Waters offered, I will let it stand, but I want to make sure my motion is not to guarantee that any development agreement would be formulated. I mean, the motion is only for council to go back and attempt to work with one, but I did not intend for it to be a direction to come forward with one. It's merely recommendation to go back. So thank you.
Commissioner Philbrook?
Okay, so right now we've been dancing around the elephant in the room. So my direct question to you, sir, Mr. Renaud, is if you don't get that CID, does that mean you will not develop?
There's a very high likelihood that we would not be able to develop just because economically it wouldn't be feasible.
Well, I just wanted to, get it right out there, so we know exactly what we're saying. Does that also mean that if you go back to the drawing table with our development department, that you might be able to work something else out other than a CID?
Yes, we're open to considering other proposals.
Okay, all right. Those are the two questions I wanted answered, and I appreciate you being straightforward.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. I will now open the public hearing. Mr. Deichler, have you received any notification from the public which to express their comments in favor of this item?
Mayor, we did. We have Mr. Kendall here tonight who wants to speak on this, and he has already been promoted.
Thank you. Mr. Kendall, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and UG team. My name is Greg Kendall, President of Wyandotte Economic Development Council, a resident of KCK. Commissioners, I'm here in support of creating the Legends Hotel CID at 1925 North 98th Street, between Freddy's and the Compass Minerals National Soccer Performance Center. We've been working with Ronat and his team representing this more than $10 million hotel development since July of 2018. The applicant has made their interest in creating a CID very early in the discussions. It's my opinion that this was the only route for the applicant to move this request forward because of the UG's working policy around CID creation for standalone hotels. This project has been ongoing long before Homefield took place and before the pandemic forced the project into a holding pattern. We appreciate that the Legends Hotel team have worked with the National Soccer Performance Center to incorporate technology into the hotel that continues the soccer experience at the center while at the hotel, and are building a sidewalk that connects the two facilities to create a connected area for guests. But those decisions do come at an expense. Today, we're thrilled that the mall and the brand behind the Legends Hotel want to move forward with the hotel despite the significant increased costs and construction. While there's still uncertainty in the market about the pandemic, the Legends Hotel is the first hotel project to move forward. We support the request because the additional 1.25% sales tax is no burden to the UG general fund like a property tax abatement would be. There's no impact to local taxpayers unless they're staying at the hotel. And it does not provide an advantage over other existing hotels. This is a tax on those who stay at the hotel for specific expenses. There are currently no other incentives being discussed for this project. If down the road, a larger Homefield CID is requested, we support language that allows this site to be incorporated into that larger CID so long as all parties agree. And we support a cap on the total amount of funding to be captured under the CID for the Legends Hotel. The other option we would support is directing UG staff to work with the applicant to create a development agreement that includes some form of incentive to help reduce the unforeseen costs to move the project forward. We see no downside to allowing the creation of this CID and ask for your support. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Kendall. Is there anyone present on Zoom who would like to speak in favor of this item?
We are seeing none, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anyone present in the lobby? I see no one.
No one.
All right, is there anyone present who would like to speak in opposition?
Seeing no one as well.
Thank you. All right, no one present in the lobby. There are no further comments from the public. I will now close the public hearing. Again, any further comments from or questions from the commission? Commissioner Bynum?
Thank you, Mayor. And I really appreciate Greg Kendall's comments because I think they've given me a new perspective. One of the things that we appreciate when we renew our EMS and public safety and infrastructure sales tax at the ballot is the fact that when we have visitors to the Legends, they are helping to carry that burden. And the part that Greg Kendall stated that I really keyed on was the fact that this financing mechanism is no burden on the UG, whereas others would be. And this one is paid entirely by visitors. And that is changing my perspective a great deal toward being in favor of this, plus the fact that it's 3 years in the works trying to bring it forward. So I'm stating my position that I'd be in favor of a CID for the project. And further, as he stated, if other Homefield project items come forward, then we would work through those as well. But just want to clarify that I think I have a new position. Thank you.
Commissioner McKiernan?
Thank you. I would like to just echo what Commissioner Bynum just said and express my appreciation for Mr. Kendall and his presentation, his perspective, and his facts as it relates to this proposal. Thank you.
Commissioner Kane?
Thank you, Mayor. If we don't have a plan, I wouldn't want to move it forward. I would want to see something in writing that says, here's what we're going to do. And it's, if we've never done it before, I don't know how we would begin now.
Commissioner Philbrook.
So here I go again saying, okay, so how do we make this happen legally, to support this project, without saying, yes, you don't have to have a plan before we approve a CID. So Patrick, talk to us.
Well, Commissioner, I think Commissioner Townsend's motion was appropriate. If that's the direction.
Can you
the commission
repeat
wants to
it?
go.
Can you repeat it for us? There's been a lot since then.
Commissioner, I believe I heard you say that you wanted us to go back and work with the developer to see if we can come to an agreement on a development agreement. You're not requiring that we come to terms, but you wanted us to meet and see if we could come to terms and bring
Okay,
something back to the.
so I can second that if it hasn't been.
But to be clear, it could include, the development agreement could include a request for a CID.
Correct.
Thank you. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just second the words of Commissioner Kane, and this overall, I don't have a problem if the final development agreement does include a CID. I have no problem with that. I just want to make sure that I have, as Commissioner Kane said, I need to have something in front of me and what exactly the project is and all of the qualifications and criteria. That's important. And so I'm in favor of Commissioner Townsend's motion.
Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm real pleased with some of the comments and plenty of the discussion this evening. We're setting precedents here should we move forward. I just want to remind our committee, as Chairman McKiernan clearly stated, we could very well be setting precedents that we will be looking at all development agreements prior to any incentives before the development agreement is presented. So I would ask us to err on the side of caution. And it's not that we're out to kill the project. It's just that we're talking about setting a precedence here that we need to be very mindful of.
All right, well, we do have a motion on the floor. Again, would you repeat the motion, just so we're clear? And we do have a second.
Yes. And Commissioner Townsend, please correct me if I misstate. The motion is to have economic development staff and administration go back and work with the developer to see if we can come to terms on a development agreement that we would feel comfortable bringing back to the commission. There's not a requirement that we bring one, but if we can come to agreed terms, we will bring back a development agreement for the commission to consider.
Commissioner Townsend, I think you succinctly caught the essence of it, Counselor.
Okay. Thank you. Roll call.
Roll call. Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane.
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We now have two items under the administrator's agenda. Item number one is consideration of various budget items. Before we get into those items, I'd ask Mr. Bach to make some opening remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. Doug Bach, County Administrator. So over the course of most of last year, and I'll ask Ms. Von Atchen to go ahead and put the motions on the screen so we have them for consideration. Over the course of the last year, we've had several public hearings, 6 budget workshops, and also a couple of different special sessions to go over items that are being formulated in this year's proposed 2022 budget. There are several motions that are before you this evening that affect all parts of the budget. I know the commission went through in great detail on each one, so we put them out here so they'd be on screen so you would be able to see them, as well as they are in your agenda in your budget book. Happy to answer any questions about each one as we go through them. But each of the numbers and the number with a letter requires a motion and a second to advance all the items related to this year's budget, Mayor. Happy to take any questions or answer any other. Otherwise, we'd recommend to move forward with each one as they're listed on the screen today.
Thank you. First, we'll entertain a motion for the, Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Ramirez, District 3. I have received emails and messages about this, and I want to make it very clear about the utilities. I believe it's the wastewater and the sewer. Correct me if I'm wrong. We are raising it not because we want to, not because we are legally have to by a consent decree with the EPA. I just want to make sure that that's known. I wouldn't support it if I didn't have to. So I just wanted to make sure that the community knew of that. Thank you.
Commissioner Kane.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the stormwater stuff?
Well, we'll get to that, but it will include that. There are multiple items. The first item is the Wyandotte County Library budget, but we're going through each one by one.
All right, when we get to the stormwater, please stick it out for me. Please, thank you.
Sure. Commissioner McKiernan.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move to approve item number 1, a resolution setting the mill rate for the Wyandotte County Library at 6.129 mills and approving, adopting, and appropriating the budget for the Wyandotte County Library.
Markley, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Mayor, sorry, I'm trying to get my hand up. Commissioner Burrows, if I may, I would like to have any increases that are presented tonight in the resolutions, whatever the prior mill was compared to the new mill, I would ask that we know what those mill rates were prior to moving on the resolution and or the ordinance. I think it behooves us to let the public know what is being increased by mill, what is not being increased, what fees are being increased and how much, and what's not being increased. I think that's a little more transparent. That's all I would ask. Again, Commissioner Burrows at large, District 2.
Thank you. I did not.
Mr. Mayor,
Great.
I can clarify that the mill rate for the Wyandotte County Library is the same as it is in the current year at 6.129.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane.
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Next, I'll entertain a motion for the self-supported municipal improvement district budget. Mr. Bach, I believe there is a change in that mill levy.
Mayor, I believe that is correct because the evaluation in the area did change. I will look to staff. Ms. Johnson,
Mr. Mayor, I
do you
do have
the
that
details
available
on
if you'd
that?
like.
Yes, Mr. McKiernan.
I would move that we approve item number 2, a resolution setting the mill rate for the self-supporting municipal improvement district at 10.493 mills and approving, adopting, and appropriating the budget for the self-supporting municipal improvement district with a note that the current year mill rate is 9.957.
Johnson, second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Comments or discussion from the commission? Roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane.
Aye.
Markley. Walters.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
No.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Vote is 9-1. That motion carries.
Thank you. Next is entertain a motion establishing the rate for sewer service charges. And again, that is sanitary sewer, correct?
That is correct, Mayor.
Thank you. And any change in that fee rate?
Yes, this is an increase. This is the one Commissioner Ramirez was referring to. We have a consent decree with the EPA that requires us to continue to invest in our sewer system at a higher rate each year, to be dealing with combined sewer overflow systems, such like that. The plan that we have moved forward with the EPA calls for us to do a 5% rate increase this year.
Thank you. Entertain a motion?
Mayor, this is McKiernan, District 2. I move to approve item 3A, an ordinance adopting a regulation establishing the rate for sewer service charges at an amount that is 5% greater than the current fee.
Markley, second.
I have a second by Markley. Any comments or questions from the commission? Roll call, please.
Roll call, Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
No.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 9-1. That motion carries.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion setting the solid waste fee for single-family residences and residential units in buildings not containing more than 4 dwelling units. Mr. Bach?
McKiernan, District 2. I move to approve item 3B, an ordinance setting the solid waste fee for single-family residences and for residential buildings not containing more than 4 dwelling units at a contractually mandated amount of 25 cents per month greater than the current fee.
Markley, second.
Motion and second. Comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Roll call, Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
No.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 9-1. That motion carries.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Townsend, I did not see your hand raised. I'm sorry.
That's all right, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Townsend. Had some difficulties trying to raise it before the vote. The vote just taken, we're talking about solid waste. This is the trash, our trash contract.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It would not change my vote, but I did want to state that we've gotten a lot of complaints. I know I have, and I'm sure a lot of other commissioners have, about the quality of service that we're getting. It seems like every week there are complaints about the service we're not getting under the contract. I did not vote against it only because this is in litigation. So I think our constituents should know that we're not trying to stand still on it, but I certainly did not want to do anything that would jeopardize our legal position. But I recognize, and I think a lot of us do, we're not getting the service that our constituents deserve, including those of us who are citizens and getting our trash pickups missed as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Next, I'd entertain a motion setting the Board of Public Utilities payment in lieu of taxes, the pilot. There is no change in the pilot fee. I entertain a motion.
McKiernan, District 2. Move to approve item 3C, a resolution setting the BPU pilot at the current rate of 11.9%.
Markley, second.
Any comments or questions from the commission? Roll call, please.
Roll call, Ramirez,
No.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
No.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 8-2. That motion carries.
Next, I entertain a motion amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances relating to the storm and surface water utility. Mr. Bach, would you describe this one?
Yes, sir. I'd just clarify. What this does is it allows for us to set a separate rate or a different rate for residential units versus commercial units. This ordinance itself does not actually change or set any rates. It just provides for the ability that currently you have to make all rates uniform, and this allows for the ability to separate those between the commercial and the residential units.
Correct. So the next motion would be actual change to the fee. This is just changing the ordinance to allow us to treat commercial and non-residential property and residential properties differently.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. I'd entertain a motion.
McKiernan, District 2, I move to approve item 3D, an ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances relating to the storm and surface water utility.
Second.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
No.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
No.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 8-2. That motion carries.
Next is entertain a motion amending the storm and surface water utility fee. Mr. Bach.
Merit, this is a recommended fee change. We currently have a uniform $4.50 fee that is applied against all units, whether it be a large commercial structure or a small residential house. Every unit pays the same $4.50 monthly fee. The recommended rate change to this is to move the residential units to $6 a month and the commercial structures to $14 a month. I believe I have that right, with this ordinance.
So to be clear, so residential $6.50, but for instance, the Walmart at the Legends will pay $14.50 a month for their stormwater.
That would be correct. I believe it's 6 and 14, isn't it?
6 and 14.
Debbie?
Thank you.
That's correct.
$6 and $14.
Yes.
And that is right. So now there'll be a difference between what a large commercial structure such as Walmart pays versus a residential structure.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion.
McKiernan, District 2, I move to approve item 3E, an ordinance amending the storm and surface water utility fee to an amount of $6 monthly for residential properties and $14 monthly for non-residential properties.
Markley, I will second, but I will also note Commissioner Townsend has her hand up, and Commissioner Kane mentioned earlier that he might have a comment on this, although he doesn't have his hand up. Not to put you on the spot, Mike.
Yes. Commissioner Townsend. Commissioner Townsend, I think you're muted.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Townsend, District 1. Comment is that even though I'm very aware of our need for additional revenue for major stormwater projects that we get calls about all of the time, this particular version will impact a lot of residential people who would not have been impacted based on the amount of impervious or hard surface that they had. So for this year, I will vote forward, but I would not want to see that go forward in subsequent years. I'm sorry. I think there should be some consideration of how much impervious surface. I note that with residents, they have to pay the fee if there's an increase, and so would commercial, but with the commercial residents, they can go to the bottom line and count this as a business expense where the average citizen, private residents cannot. So those are the comments I wanted to put forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Kane?
Thank you, Mary. And this is what Commissioner Townsend just said is exactly what I'm worried about. This is the first step. We'll do it this year, we'll do it next year, and we'll just keep going on and on and on until staff gets what they want. And I know that, and they came across with some large numbers, and I know we went on the bus route today and saw all the gloom and doom you could possibly see right before you do the budget, which I didn't like. But here's the deal. When we do this, it's never going to stop. Each year, they're going to say we need more, and we're going to need more, and we're going to need more. So maybe we don't pay staff so much and we get some other stuff done.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Ramirez,
No.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
No.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
No.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 7-3. That motion carries.
Thank you. We now move to adoption of the 2021 amended budget and the 2022 budget to include attachment A. And Mr. Bach, would you describe what attachment A is?
Yes, Mayor. So the proposed budget is the document as it was submitted to the commission back on the 19th. As you see in front of you, this yellow sheet is attachment A, where amendments made to this, where there was an addition of the sheriff's investigator position from the county budget. And then also in the parks budget, we did an addition of specifically $250,000 to a park or park-like improvements into the area on Hutton Road by our fire station in this area. This money is coming from our contingency reserves in the Parks Fund, as well as the, and then moving out of our neighborhood park improvements to specifically go toward this effort. This action would approve the proposed budget with these amendments moving forward.
Thank you. I entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Walters has his hand raised.
Yeah, we'll get to the comments.
Then in that case, I move to approve item 3F, a resolution and ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the budget of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas for the amended 2021 and 2022 budget years.
Markley, second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Walters.
Yes, I have a couple of comments. I think I've made it pretty clear in previous meetings that I support a mill reduction this year. For perspective, I have voted in support of 15 out of 16 city and county budgets that have been presented. 13 of those 15 that I supported did not change the mill levy. So I have no problem voting to maintain an existing mill levy when it's appropriate. This is not one of those times. A few facts. 2020 actual expenditures resulted in a $10 million excess of what we had budgeted and approved. The portion of this federal stimulus ARPA money that we are recognizing in our budget has resulted in record reserves for the city and county, almost to the point where they have exceeded our maximum policy limits. Millions of ARPA funds are not being recognized in this budget document. And homeowners deserve a tax increase substantially less than the 8% average contained in this budget. We have heard recently that some commissioners believe it is simply too late in the process to consider a mill levy reduction. While I disagree with that position, if true, it is a serious indictment of our process. Approving the budget, including setting the mill levy, is the most important action a commission undertakes. It affects everybody in the county. In general, staff leads the commission through the budget review. The basis of these presentations is naturally skewed toward the staff recommendations. In this case, no serious discussion of the mill levy was held until last Thursday night. Elected officials are more closely in touch with the residents than staff. We are in a great financial position due to increasing home values, government stimulus programs, and due to our actions in 2020 to curtail spending in response to uncertain conditions. For all of those reasons, the time is right to lessen some of the tax burden on our citizens. I would like to see a 2 mil reduction on both city and county budgets. Even at that lowered rate, most residents would be paying higher taxes, just not as high as presented in the budget. Sensing a lack of agreement by the commission for such a decrease, I propose a 1 mil reduction in the mill levy for the city and the county in the 2022 budget from that included in the budget under consideration.
Burrough, second.
Commissioner Bynum?
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Bynum, at-large District 1. I'm so appreciative of Commissioner Walter's statements. At a minimum, I support 1 mil reduction on the county side of the budget. I know that we had the discussions about timing. I know that early in this process, we did not give the county administrator the direction to seek mill levy reductions, but our CFO has shown us, specifically on the county side that I asked for, that we can make that mill levy reduction. It does not hurt our efforts at increasing money for infrastructure projects that we all understand are so desperately needed, because that money comes off of the bottom line. And I would likely stand in support of a 1 mil reduction on both the city and county side, but most definitely would support 1 mil on the county side of this budget. Thank you.
Commissioner Ramirez?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We all know our budgeting process is not perfect. It's not how it should be, because we are the ones that appropriate. We are the ones that hold the purse. And I know I've shared my thoughts of how we can change the budget process with our county administrator, and I would like to see those changes brought to us. But we've all been, these last several 15 so months, have gone through a lot. Financially, emotionally, mentally. And I agree with Commissioner Walters that the subject of a mill levy reduction wasn't brought up until the end. But I personally think that we are at a time where it is too late to talk about it. Come January, as Commissioner Kane had mentioned, let's have the conversation. Let's have the year-long conversation of figuring out the way to do it. But I don't want my constituents or the people or residents watching think I don't support a mill levy reduction. I completely 100% do. Here in Wyandotte County, you, as Commissioner Burrough always, I believe Commissioner Burrough is the one that always says, is you are taxed, but you rarely, where does that money, where do you see it? We don't see it in our parks. Our parks need improvement. Our infrastructure needs improvement. But all of that needs to be taken into account when we talk about the mill levy. And I think that's a conversation we need to start January 1st and not wait until budget season come spring. The budget should always be a continuous conversation, not only in the summer and then to the fall. So I just want that to make known. I do support a mill levy reduction, but not until we've had a thorough, strategic, long-term conversation to ensure that when we do reduce it, that in 2023, we don't have to raise it because we prematurely lowered it. Thank you.
Commissioner Kane.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is what I talked about last week, that some people forget we're in a pandemic, and we do have a little bit of money. And the budget's always brought to us with what staff wants. And I think Commissioner Walters had a good point. You know, January 1, our first commission meeting, January 1, we should focus on lowering the mill levy then, and give the staff the guidance to say, this is what the commissioners want. And give them guidance to get it done, and then not come back at the last minute and say, well, we wanted to, but we can't. So pushing this budget through with some language there that says January, we start talking about that mill levy reduction.
Commissioner Philbrook.
I appreciate everything that's been said tonight, and I would be more than ready to admit that I dropped the ball on not pushing forward on talking about how we can talk about reducing the mill levy. I do not want to do that this moment. I want us to figure out a long-term strategy. I want us to know what the heck we're doing when we start decreasing the mill levy, because it's a lot easier to decrease it than it is to increase it. You know, as we all know, because nobody wants an increase in a mill levy. So I think that for me, I have to accept the responsibility of not pushing this appropriately earlier on in our discussion. So I have to go along with Mike and Christian on that and say, I have to see things, and I have to, excuse the expression, cuss and discuss it, work it over before I can just say, yeah, I want a decrease in the mill levy. I'm for a decrease, but not at this budget. Thank you.
Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I remember these discussions a little differently, I guess. I do know that there have been commissioners advocating for a mill levy decrease the last couple of budgets. And I do know those that made the motion this evening and the second have advocated for a mill reduction budget, a cut over the last year or so. But I will state that I have stated no this evening on fee increases because of the increased valuation of our properties in Wyandotte County, which is a good thing. However, the increase in those valuations also raise additional dollars above and beyond our revenue neutral point. And so I guess my comment would be that there has been advocacy from members of the commission to lower the mill, and putting it off for another year or 2 years or 3 years is just what I would consider discussion for the fact of passing a budget. I could have very well voted on the fee increases had we had an opportunity to lower the mills so it was a less burden on the taxpayers of Wyandotte County, but not when we see a pilot that will increase, and not by the percentage point, but the amount of money that will be raised should the BPU raise rates, and or should we have an increase in power usage and or utility usage in the city. But I am still advocating, along with my fellow Commissioner Walters, for a reduction on a mill on the county and on the city. Our budget has been able to absorb it, and I believe we can absorb it again this year. So thank you, committee. I appreciate the opportunity to voice my opinion.
So I'm going to ask Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Townsend. Just wanted to say, while I really don't think there are any of us that wouldn't want to be able to go back and tell our constituents we've decreased the mill rate. But as I've said before in special sessions and other public meetings, our decrease of the mill rate will not necessarily equate to a lowering of the check that our constituents write to the tax appraiser, because we are only one small component of that. Having said that, though, I still think it's right to look at, can we do it? But I would want to know where we are going to get money from that may already be in the budget to correct problems that our constituents call about, stormwater issues, just a myriad of other things, additional help with code enforcement inspectors. And I do note that this budget does take into account an increase in that. And some other things, park improvements. You heard several of the constituents who came forward during the community development public hearing and asked about park development on the northeast end of town. So those are part of the discussions we need to have before we, in my opinion, reduce the mill levy so that we don't have to go back and raise it a subsequent year and still not provide the level of services that our constituents want. Commissioner Kane had also mentioned about the foresight or unable to know the future about what may happen as we go through this pandemic. I think it was with the last budget, we were able to get through before ARPA funds came in because we went to the reserve. So if we have extra reserve money laying around, then that may be the answer to some of the things our constituents want. And then look at reducing the mill levy. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Misty, where do we stand? We had the motion to pass the budget, and then I think we had a motion for an amendment. So just to clarify where we stand.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. This is Misty Brown, Chief Counsel. So my notes reflected that we have a motion by Commissioner McKiernan to approve the budget as presented with a second by Commissioner Markley. Commissioner Markley, could you confirm that my notes are correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second on the floor for consideration. There could be a motion to amend the budget. Amend the motion, though it's typically not directly contrary to the original motion. So you now have a motion by Commissioner Walters and Burrows to decrease the mill levies. So we could, typically you would take action on the first motion, or we could continue to debate what could be considered a motion to amend.
So we already had a motion on the floor, correct?
Correct.
And so does that have to be voted on first?
That is the way it is usually done, but
Mayor, if I might, I believe it is proper to vote on the amendment first and then vote on the original resolution.
so I've been looking at the rules of procedure, Mayor, on this. So we had a motion and a second to approve, which in a typical situation, you would take action on that motion. But I do believe Commissioners Walters and Burrows' motion could be seen as a motion to amend. And it says in our rules of procedure, motions to amend shall be debatable, providing the original motion was a debatable motion. So we're left with, is it debatable whether or not to approve the budget as objected, and I would agree with Commissioner Walters at this point that what we have is a motion to amend the original motion that should be voted on.
Mayor, if you are speaking, you are muted.
Mr. Clerk, can you look? I do not see the mayor on the inventory. I believe he may have fallen off.
And let me take a look there, Mr. Bach. I'm not seeing him on the fallout side. I will double check here. No, I do not see him on either side here, Mr. Bach.
If we can pause for a moment, commissioners, while we see if the mayor can rejoin, we'll connect with him. Yes, I just received a message from him. He had a computer issue and he's rejoining from his laptop.
He's in the attendee list.
Okay. Sorry about that. Just terrible timing.
You're muted, Mayor.
I'm sorry about that. Terrible timing. Commissioner Walters, it cut out right as you were speaking.
Well, I think the way to proceed is to vote on the amendment. And if it passes, then you vote on the original resolution as amended. If the amendment does not pass, then you vote on the original resolution as initially moved and seconded.
If I may, Mayor, add a little bit of clarity to this, and that I do know we are in a confusing situation. I'm looking at our Rules of Procedure 720, and it says, in order to amend motions previously made, the motion to amend shall be in order, providing the motion for amendment shall be made with the consent of the maker and the second of the original motion, and providing further that the motion can only be amended once before a vote is taken. So in order to consider this motion to amend, it would be needed to be at the consent of Commissioner McKiernan and Commissioner Markley, and I do apologize for putting you both on the spot, and there can only be one motion to amend. And after that, you go back, if that motion fails, there's no more amending of the original motion to approve this budget.
Thank you for that clarification. Is there any inclination from Commissioner McKiernan? Would it be Commissioner McKiernan have to do this or Commissioner Markley, either or?
Mayor,
Both,
Commissioner
Mayor.
Burrows does have his hand up.
I know, I'm just trying to clarify something here. Does it either Commissioner McKiernan or Commissioner Markley?
Both, Mayor, would have to approve amending
Okay,
motion that they moved and seconded on.
thank you. Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you. A substitute motion is always in order. You vote on the substitute motion. If the substitute motion fails, it goes back to the original motion. A substitute motion is always in order.
So I think, Misty, I want to clarify, this is our rules of proceeding?
Correct. I'm looking at it, and it is understandably a bit of a question. Is it a substitute motion or it is an amendment? A substitute motion is not supposed to be directly in opposition to the original motion. So it appears to me that it is more an amendment to the motion.
So the implications of that are, to be clear,
the implication is on the motion to amend that both Commissioner McKiernan and Commissioner Markley would have to agree to amend the motion. And then there could be a vote on the amended motion by Commissioner Walters, seconded by Burrows, to decrease the mill levy.
Thank you. I'm not hearing.
Mayor, this is Commissioner McKiernan, District 2. I made my motion. I stand by my motion. Having said that, I am willing to allow a vote on amendment.
Yeah, I feel the same. I don't necessarily want to amend my motion, but I think we can vote on the amendment either way. I think we kind of know where everybody stands. So whatever order we want to take it in, let's just vote on something.
All right. So we have the consent of the two who brought the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Which motion are we voting on?
We are voting on the motion with the amendment to reduce the mill levy on the county side and the city side, 2 mills, correct?
1 mill each.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. 1 mill each. Thank you.
And then just maybe to clarify, Misty, this is a motion to amend the original motion?
Correct.
The action.
Was a motion to amend, I believe what Commissioner Walters' motion was to approve a budget with a 1 mill decrease in the county and the city. Commissioner Walters, if I am misstating that.
That's right.
Okay.
Commissioner McKiernan.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to clarify. My understanding is that the original motion to approve the budget would stand, but with the amendment that mill rates would be decreased by 1 mill county, 1 mill city. That is what we're voting on now.
Right. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez,
No.
Johnson,
No.
Kane,
No.
Markley,
No.
Walters,
Yes.
Philbrook,
No.
Bynum,
Yes.
Burrows,
Yes.
Townsend,
No.
McKiernan.
No.
That is 7-3. So that motion fails. Is that correct, Misty?
That's correct. And now we have the original motion to approve the budget on the floor, which has been moved and seconded. It cannot be amended anymore, and it now would require a vote.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
No.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
No.
Burrows,
No.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 7-3. That motion carries.
Thank you. The last budget item authorizes various public improvements in the 2021 to 2026 capital maintenance improvement plan and provides for the cost. Is there a motion?
McKiernan, District 2, move to approve item number 4, a resolution and ordinance authorizing various public improvements contained in the 2021 to 2026 capital maintenance improvement program.
Markley, second.
I think we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. Our last item for the evening is a special event asked for by Colonial Club. Mr. Bach, please present this item.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a special request put forward to us regarding a club for a special use permit. I will recognize Ms. Bishop in our legal department for comment on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Bach, and good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Z Bishop. I am with the legal department for the Unified Government. The resolution before you right now is a resolution that would give permission for a special event in advance of the Chiefs home opener. That event would be held this Saturday, 9/11, by Colonial Club. Colonial Club has applied for and received a right-of-way permit, and the plan would be for them to be allowed to serve alcohol in the right-of-way. Now, this commission did approve a similar resolution for a similar event back in 2019. The resolution language is the same as that language was 2 years ago, but for, of course, the change in the dates. Now, my understanding is that Mr. Troy Shaw from Public Works was planning to be here tonight, as was Mr. Blake Lowstall from Colonial Club. I'm unaware of whether they are in fact present tonight. I did provide them the links and instruction to be here to answer your questions. And I'm happy to answer any questions that I may be able to as you consider this.
Mr. Shaw is available.
And I believe Mr. Lostall is here as well. He was earlier. Yes, Mr. Shaw, could you, what I understand is this is coming before us because there was something gone wrong in the process, or there was something in the process. Mr. Z, could you just speak to that?
I can, Mr. Mayor, and I apologize for not bringing that forward in the beginning of my presentation. The regular process for this would have been for Colonial Club to bring their resolution, their request for a resolution before the standing committee. My understanding in talking with the folks from Public Works is that they were given, the Colonial Club was given the information in time to bring this before the standing committee. And then there was a period of time where perhaps there was a lack of communication. At any rate, our office did not receive any information on this until after the standing committee meeting. We did not have time to get this on a standing committee meeting. And so we were asked to bring this forward to the full commission, and that's what we've done.
Thank you. And just to be clear, I allow this to come forward to try and accommodate this. But I would like Mr. Lostall to please tell us what he's asking for. Mr. Lostall, are you still on the call?
Mr. Mayor, it's Melissa Bynum. I don't see him anymore.
Okay.
We just promoted him.
I promoted him. He's back in the attendees side.
Has he been promoted?
Mr. Lowstall, if you'll unmute yourself, you'll be able to speak.
Carol,
Carol, I believe you need to be
this is
promoted.
Commissioner McKiernan, District 2. Mr.
Nope.
Lostall just texted me and said that he is currently in the attendees list, but under the name John Stoner.
Okay, well, right now we have Blake Lowstall and he has his mic open. So let's see if he's there.
Yes, sir. We can. Thank you.
Good. Great. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Oh, we lost you.
Lost him.
Well, John Stoner has had his hand up all of this time in the attendee list, so I would suggest perhaps we try him.
Can we promote Mr. Stoner?
We're working on it. Mayor, Mr. Stoner has been promoted.
Thank you. Mr. Lostel, is this you? Are you unmuted?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry, Mary Alvey.
It's all right.
What was the question?
So I just asked you to present what you are asking us to do tonight and why it is needed.
Well, so in 2019, we were trying to start a tradition in Wyandotte County because we're gigantic Chiefs fans and we have a huge following in the tailgate. And we want everybody to know that Wyandotte County is a huge Chiefs supporter. So our bar restaurant is a part of that. And so in 2019, we threw a big bash where it's a start off to the Chiefs season. And of course, COVID hit. So we had to suspend our annual festivities. So we were just really honestly, guys, we were just confused how everything worked. It had been a year. The first one was hard. And I spoke to Lori and the business development, and we know now what to do in the future for these parties. And what we'd like to do is to show that, yes, as Wyandotte Colonial, we promote the Chiefs and we love them. And we're just trying to have a great time, smoke some great food and have people out and know that Strawberry Hill and Wyandotte County is a great area to be a part of and come out and support the Chiefs.
Thank you. And so I believe, Mr. Lostel, that it has been communicated to you by staff that we do expect in the future that this will not, you would need to have things in place to come through the standing committee, because that's an opportunity for residents to weigh in if they would like to on this proposal.
Absolutely.
Thank
we
you.
figured it out, and Lori and the business department has clearly outlined what we have to do. And Andy and the what does he work in? The public works. We've kind of figured it out, and now we have a true, because what we found out, this really doesn't happen very often. So we figured out with these two UG employees that we've figured out the roadmap to get this done properly.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor. And sir, I appreciate your enthusiasm for the party you are trying to throw and that you have successfully navigated the process so that in the future it can be more timely. And because in 2019 you held this party and we did win the Super Bowl as a result of your party, I move that we approve the resolution allowing the Colonial Club to furnish alcohol and allow patrons to drink and consume alcohol within the portion of North 6th Street immediately in front of their club.
Thank you. We have a motion.
McKiernan, second.
Any comments or questions?
Thank you, everybody.
Commissioner McKiernan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to reiterate what Mr. Lostel has said and what Commissioner Bynum has said. There is a process. So to everybody out there, we have a process. Sometimes that process takes time. So my strong encouragement to everyone is, when you want to do something like this, start early, start communicating. You can find the route through the City Hall hierarchy. It can be done. Mr. Lostel has certainly proven that it can. But my recommendation is, please remember that there is a process and that process typically takes time. So start early and we can make it happen. And a Super Bowl would be nice.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second, I believe. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrough,
Most certainly aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes our meeting for the evening. Thank you for.
Go Chiefs.
We are adjourned.
Terry, can you end for all, please?